everyone. The microphone is open. Our news lines are crackling. We've got some interesting people to meet. And while we're at it, we'd like to hear from you before we slam the lid on things for today. This is a program dedicated to our part here on the Bob Hadley, who has all the information on Europe with children. If you dare to go to Europe with your children, she tells you how to survive. She'll be here as part of our WMCA Salutes Travel segment. It's 14 minutes past 4 o'clock.
We're growing together on Long Island every day.
Here's a home buying opportunity that can make owning a home or apartment one of today's most affordable investments. It's a mortgage loan from the Long Island Savings Bank, and it's one of the best deals in town. The bank has set aside over $250 million for home, co-op, and condo loans. These one-year adjustable rate mortgage loans offer an unbeatable low rate which can actually reduce interest costs and save you thousands of dollars the first year of your loan when you need it the most. So, if you found a home or a co-op that you simply must have, see our newspaper ads for rates and details. Then come in for an application. Remember, we have over $250 million to invest in you.
We invest in you, Long Island. We're strong like you, Long Island. Come on home to Long Island Savings Bank.
Member FSLIC.
Let's talk travel.
Packing your bags for Peking?
Booking a cruise to Curaçao?
Motor touring through Toronto? Come on, wherever you want to go, for business or pleasure, we've mapped out a whole wide world of down-to-earth travel reports, hints, and features all this week on WMCA. Get on board, because when it comes to talking travel, we've got your ticket right here on
WMCA, New York, New York.
Neil Romano is with us, ladies and gentlemen. He is the Republican candidate for Congress in the 9th Congressional District of New Jersey. And, Mr. Romano, you had written a letter in reaction to the Dear Commandante letter, which had been signed by, I guess 9 members of Congress. Before we talk about your response, let's fill the audience in just in case they may not have noticed. The congressman's letter to the Sandinista Commandante, Daniel Ortega. And I do believe there were 10 congressmen, because I think Jim Wright joined the other 9.
That's right. It was actually on his stationery.
Okay, to his everlasting discredit. What did they say in their letter? Do you have some highlights here? They said, Dear Commandante, and as members of the U.S. House of Representatives, we regret the fact that better relations do not exist between the United States and your country. We have been and remain opposed to U.S. support for military action directed against the people or government of Nicaragua. That's incredible.
Well, it's not only incredible, Bob, but it's the kind of thing that before you said it would bring disgrace to those men who wrote it. It goes well beyond that. What it does is it undercuts the policies of the United States of America. It undercuts the policies not only of the President Ronald Reagan, but it undercuts the presidency of the United States. Essentially, what it does is it establishes that these 10 congressmen disagree with a policy that's been approved by the Congress of the United States, which is being paid for by the Congress of the United States, and they're offering an opportunity for aid and comfort someplace else for those Sandinistas to go with their problems than to the government. They're offering 10 people that they can go to and feel they have friends with in the United States Congress to lobby the American people against their own better interests.
Mr. Romano, quite frankly, though, would you be this troubled if it weren't for the fact that the man you hope to oppose in November, Robert Torricelli, is one of the individuals who signed the Dear Commandante letter, prostrating themselves before Daniel Ortega?
Well, quite frankly, the fact that it's an election year makes everything point to that. But I would be just as outraged at any other time. The fact of the matter is that I am the Republican nominee for Congress from my district, And one of the gentleman who supposedly represents me and the people in the district that I want to represent has gone out and made comments and written a letter to a dictatorship in Central America. And I don't believe the people of the District of New Jersey and the 9th Congressional District of Bergen County agree to a large part with that, so somebody has to say something. And as the standard bearer of my party, and hopefully representative of those people, it's my responsibility to speak up.
I'm going to ask you to speculate, which of course could lead anywhere, and you have just as much right to guessing as anybody else, but what do you suppose was in the mind of these individuals? For example, Mr. Torricelli. What do you suppose was in his mind when they sent this ridiculous letter?
Well, obviously, it's an obvious attempt to disagree with the president, to undercut the president of the United States in his foreign policy, and to continue this horribly new pattern of making politics out of foreign affairs. You know, the Constitution of the United States separates, Bob, the executive from the legislative branch with regard to foreign affairs. Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson told us that the evils of having more than one person conducting foreign affairs would lead to all sorts of problems, creating confusion overseas when you send out mixed signals. Now, this is just a continuation of the Democrats in Congress attempting to berate the president and his policies in Central America.
When you first heard about this Dear Commandante letter, do you recall your very first reaction?
Well, quite honestly, I was really startled about the whole situation. I look upon it as 10 members of the United States Congress attempting to set foreign policy for the United States. I consider it at best ill-advised and possibly even illegal. So it was a startling document as far as I was concerned.
Is that true? You have a response to the Dear Commandante letter?
Yes. Last night I decided that since no one had responded to the Dear Commandant letter from the point of view of actually speaking with Mr. Ortega about it, that I would send a letter to Managua, Nicaragua, and tell Mr. Ortega, well, give him a little bit of a history lesson, or give him a little bit of lesson in political science in America, and hopefully he'd understand it. The letter goes on to say that the signatories of that letter don't have the right to speak for the American people, and indeed they don't speak for the American people. The Congress of the United States has voted funds and so on for the actions going on in Nicaragua, and only the President of the United States, as constitutionally mandated as chief executive, rightfully speaks for the American people in all matters of foreign policy, and that he should take that into consideration. I then went on to ask him, or actually discuss with him, the problems of his strict censorship of the press. I also wanted to discuss, I also discussed in my letter some of the things that have gone on that these 10 members of the United States Congress didn't see as concerns. Among those were some of those excesses and of human rights violations that have gone on, have been the forced exile of most of the Jewish population, the seizure of the synagogue in Managua, the forced relocation of the Mosquito Indians, the treatment of Catholic ideologies as if it was a subversive ideology, which I find fascinating. The disappearances documented by human rights groups of individuals, and the jailing of those who expressed dissident opinions in Nicaragua. These offenses, I told him, could not be tolerated and could not be condoned. I have said... Did
you mail the letter?
Yes, the letter went to Managua last night by Western Union.
As I think about the transgressions against human rights and the obvious, I suspect, impetus of the PLO because of the one of the first moves the Ortegas did upon taking order was to close that synagogue, was to begin to crack down on a very, very small Jewish minority. And I have to believe that the PLO inspired that. But whether they inspired it or not, what amazes me is the virtual lack of outcry in this country against a regime which is just as repressive as some of the dark days in Argentina's recent past, when you had Jacobo Tiberman's book, igniting a lot of people. In Bergen County, where you come from, I know that you get around to many functions because I met you Sunday at the Fort Lee Jewish Community Center, where I spoke on behalf of the Jewish National Fund. So I have to believe that you're very active at moving around and meeting people, and listening to people.
Well, Bob, I'm actually startled at the number of people that don't know exactly the extent of the religious persecution that's going on in Nicaragua. I'm also startled that these 10 members of Congress have refused to see this and have refused to bring it out. Being a person who is not shy about saying that I'm a Zionist, I'm appalled that even one Jewish person, I don't care about the size of it, or one Catholic indeed, or any religion should be oppressed. That's abhorrent to the immediate nature of any American, and should be. That's one of the founding blocks of this country, is freedom of religion and freedom of the press. And the fact that a great many people don't know this is, quite frankly, very upsetting, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity today to tell people about this, to let them know that this type of persecution is going on. It's inconceivable that the United States, that these congressmen would go on a letter like this to a regime which has the only embassy for the PLO in the Western Hemisphere. It's startling. It's just startling.
In just a moment, I want to ask you a question which is framed by a man whose birthday we observed yesterday, a man who at one time had occupied the highest office in the land. And I ask you that question because I want to know from you, Neil Romano, candidate for Congress in the 9th Congressional District, how you react to that question. By the way, if you'd like to join in, and I know WMCA country extends out to Bergen County, and matter of fact, it's wall-to-wall WMCA listenership out there. But you don't have to live in Bergen County to call in. By the way, if you are in New Jersey, it's 360-WMCA, 360-WMCA. New York is 343-WMCA. Give you a couple of other numbers later. If you'd like to join in the discussion, if you'd like to cross-examine our guest, disagree or agree or neither, you can do so. Well, that fabulous ice cream, that fabulous natural ice cream dessert treat, Alpenzauber, has made a new sales record. Did you hear that? New sales record for Alpenzauber ice cream. And you know what? Well, first came the dedication to a goal. That goal, quite simply, by Abe and Jack Kroll, to make the finest gourmet ice cream it's possible to produce. Secondly, came fulfilling that goal. Trial and error, try this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. All the while sticking only to the 4 natural ingredients which real ice cream has. 4 and only 4. No corn syrups, no stabilizers. And then comes the public's testing and tasting. And then the public's acceptance. And after you get all of that, you get the sales records that the Gold Seal Riviera Ice Cream Company, manufacturers of Alpenzauber, enjoys. Comes in pints, it comes in half pints, and, it's kosher, endorsed by OU. If it weren't, you don't think Alex Nayevitz, who has resigned from calling the broadcast because he's so busy eating his daily 18 half pints, you don't think he'd continue eating those 18 half pints, do you? Alpenzauber, available at Food Emporium, Pathmark, Top Spot Delis, 1948 Ralph Avenue and 1423 Avenue J in Brooklyn. Tonight at 7:30, Kenny Jones will give you the straight talk on travel insurance and how much you really need. And then tomorrow, learn how to travel alone and like it. Sensible advice from Dr. Elise Goldstein at 10. Then at noon, you can go up and away in a beautiful hot air balloon. Find out how with Barry Gray. We're celebrating the wide world of travel So join us right here on WMCA Good Guy Radio.
WMCA, New York, New York.
Hi, this is Barry Gray. Now you can be a celebrity for a day. This week, WMCA Radio and Celebrity Foods will give you a chance to win a celebrity lunch for two at Elaine's with me. You'll get a choice table, a great meal, a souvenir photo with you and yours truly. Stay tuned for all the details.
WMCA, New York, New York.
Here we are at WMCA. Neil Romano is with us, and you ladies, it's too bad we don't have the video crew in today. I think you'd like what you'd see. They say looks is becoming more and more important in politics, and Neil Romano certainly has the good looks. He looks like a matinee idol. Right here, speaking of travel, why don't you pay close attention?
Discover more America on a tour. The WMCA Fugazi Travel Good Guys can take you to more of America the Beautiful than you've ever seen before. Go west to the city by the bay, San Francisco. See it in grand panorama from atop the Golden Gate Bridge. Then take in the grandeur and the natural wonder of one of California's most magnificent national parks, Yosemite. All waterfalls and mountains. Then, in breathtaking contrast, travel down the coastal Juan Cabrillo Highway, the most beautiful in this country, with fantastic views of Big Sur, the glory of the land that brought a nation west. Also on the coast, Carmel and the lavish mansions of the tycoons of the 20s. Then the climax of your California odyssey, Los Angeles, from Rodeo Drive to Hollywood to Beverly Hills. Discover more America on a tour. Call the WMCA Fugazi Travel Good Guys and get on your way to America today.
They're open now. They're ready to take your reservations when you call 582-0110. That's 582-0110 for the WMCA Fugazi Travel Good Guys. Waiting for your call now. 29 minutes before 5 from our WMCA newsroom. Deputy Mayor Kenneth Lipper has charged that Con Ed overcharges customers as much as $216 million a year. And Lipper, in a letter to the president of the utility, let him know that this should immediately be stopped. Authorities here and in New Jersey said today that the mutilated body stuffed inside two 55-gallon drums in a Garfield, New Jersey office building last month has been identified as that of 33-year-old Cesare Bonventre, a bodyguard for reputed mob boss Carmine Galante at the time he was killed in 1979. The body was found in three different drums. No word yet whether they're going to have three different funerals. It's Bonanima Bonventre now. A special meeting of the Metropolitan Transportation Authority Board of Directors has been scheduled for tonight to see what they will do next about the troubled Grumman flexible buses that have been taken out of service. Reports are that the MTA will sue. White House economist Martin Feldstein appears to be squaring off with the Reagan administration again, this time over what's responsible for higher interest rates. The White House has blamed the Federal Reserve Board's tight grasp on the money supply. Feldstein says the Fed is pursuing the right kinds of monetary policy. The Senate is getting ready for one last debate on a $144 billion Republican plan to trim deficits, but not before hearing from Democrat Edward Kennedy. The Duke of Chappaquiddick is trying to do away with plans to change the way Medicare and Medicaid payments are made. Conservative Republican Senator Jesse Helms of North Carolina is accusing the State Department and the CIA of pumping in money and support to buy the election for El Salvador's new president. White House spokesman Larry Speakes declined to comment on Helms' allegation, saying only that the U.S. stayed neutral throughout the Salvadoran presidential campaign. And Jesse Jackson told the American Society of Newspaper Editors that he's been deprived of fair campaign coverage because there are too few minorities on newsroom staffs. Jackson spoke one day after losing to Walter Mondale and Gary Hart in 4 state primaries. Speaking of Jackson, I have in my possession a copy of a certified conversation of verified conversation that he had with Walter Fauntleroy. And I'm going to share that with you later on. So stay tuned. You don't want to leave your radio before you hear that. And then you don't want to leave your radio after you hear that either, because then you'll want to call in and comment. But that's coming up later. Our WMCA weather update now. And we're brought to you by Zenith. At Zenith, the quality goes in before the name goes on.
Hey, Tom, just think. Here we are nearly 200 miles from Earth.
And Space Control has no idea we took along that Zenith Advanced System 3 color TV.
Yeah, I can hardly wait to see the game.
It won't be long now. As soon as we're over the good old US of A, I'll turn on the set with my Zenith Computer Space Command remote control.
Ah, there's nothing like Zenith remote control convenience. That's what I like best about Zenith Advanced System 3. You can turn the set on or off, scan your favorite channels, adjust the volume, all at the touch of a button.
That's right. And we never have to leave our command chairs.
And with 178-channel quartz electronic tuning capability, Advanced System 3 is Zenith's best remote control color TV ever.
How does Zenith keep the colors looking so bright and natural?
Well, they put a computer brain inside the set.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. That's why they call Advanced System 3 the smart set. It's a smart buy in remote control color TV.
By the way, Jim, how'd you ever sneak it on board?
Me? I thought you brought it.
Remember, at Zenith, the quality goes in before the name goes on.
Partly sunny, windy, mild the remainder of the afternoon. Variable cloudiness, breezy and cool tonight. Tomorrow turning partly to mostly sunny, windy, and milder. Friday increasing cloudiness, mild with chance of late day showers. We're looking right now at a temperature reading of 62 degrees, and 36% is the humidity, but that wind is gusting to 23 miles per hour. I noticed a lot of guys holding on to their toupees right outside. A couple of them didn't hold on tight enough. And was Howard Cosell one of them? I'm not going to say. It wouldn't be fair. Right here on WMCA, we're going to get back to Neil Romano, who a lot of people in Bergen County say is going to be the next congressman from the 9th Congressional District. We'll get back to him in just a moment.
From highbrow to down-home cuisine, Patricia McCann brings you the world of food and wine in a 60-second report. It's the Patricia McCann McMinute, weekday mornings at 11:30, right here on WMCA.
If you're looking for an asset management account that gives you high-quality services without the high price tag, stop looking. It's here at Charles Schwab and Company, America's leading discount broker. Compare Schwab One with the other asset management accounts. With Schwab One, there's no monthly or annual fee, none. When you buy or sell securities, you save up to 76% in stock brokerage commissions compared to rates of full commission brokers. You can buy or sell no-load mutual funds, borrow on your marginable securities at low interest rates. Get high interest on cash between investments, a free Visa card, and free checking account. You can open a Schwab One account with only $5,000, not $20,000 like the others. Schwab One, all the financial services you need without the high price tag.
And, by the way, I'll tell you what you can do. You can get that free brochure right now. All you have to do is call a toll-free number. And that toll-free number is, are you ready for it? Okay, we're going to give you that number right now. Toll-free number is 800. Are you listening? Okay, I hope you get it now. Here we go. We're going to give you that toll-free number. Are you listening? Are you paying attention? Okay, do that. Please pay attention. Look at that. 800-453-8500. No salesperson will call. That's 800-453-8500. It's Charles Schwab, a Bank of America company, member SIPC. Neil Romano, you ready for those phone calls? They're coming in. Okay, on WMCA, and quite appropriately, first call is on the New Jersey line. Hello.
Hello, Bob. Hello, Neil. This is Bruce from Carney. I'd like to talk about two freedom fighters in Nicaragua that are 10 friends that went to Central America, forgot, all right? One is the operation of the World Council of Churches down there. A comment by the former editor of La Presna, Umberto Belli, has said, to talk about human rights violations committed by the left wing is a joke. It is very fashionable to talk about human rights violations only by a right-wing regime. Mr. Belli went on to say this is organized U.S. Catholic and Protestant churches, mainly the latter. And the other person is a man named Jose Esteban Gonzalez. he is the founder of the Nicaraguan Human Rights Commission, and he has talked about the constant abuses and human rights violations being practiced by Comrade or Commandante Ortega. And I would like to know that if Mr. Torricelli is really concerned about democracy and so forth in Nicaragua, that he would pay attention to the human rights violations being committed by the Ortega brothers and ask for him to throw the World Council and National Council of Churches out of there if he cares about them and the suppression of the only so-called free paper, La Presna, in Nicaragua.
Well, as I said before, Bruce, thank you for calling. I find it unconscionable the human rights violations that are going on there against the church, whether it be the Catholic Church or the Jewish synagogues. It's to me the whole discussion of free elections in a society and in a country that has a dictator that isn't free is almost a joke. It is a joke, as a matter of fact. How can you hold free elections when you don't have free people? That's what we have to look at here, and that's what the problem is.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Bruce of Carney on our WMCA telephone right now. We're going to the New York line. By the way, he was using 360 WMCA. That's what Bruce was using. You're on the air. Hello.
Hello. Hello, Bob.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello, this is Little Kenny, Big Kenny from Brooklyn.
Okay, Big Kenny from Brooklyn.
I'll talk about the fair-haired boy, Jesse Jackson, over the phone, but I'll talk about it another time.
Okay.
Mr. Romero, you know, and Bob, Lenin said we have useful idiots. Because all people with that talk that Stalin was building such a utopian paradise. And then Castro in Cuba. The one thing about their country, they never criticize anything out, you know. They criticize, they don't walk around long. Here we got these, well, at least they can leave the criticism in this country. It's only aiding and abetting them. This utopian, Alice in Wonderland, utopian paradise is not such a utopian paradise. I also read the article about Gonzalez in the New York Tribune.
Kenny, let me ask you a question since Mr. Romano raised the point at the outset. The letter signed by 10 congressmen, you said you live in Brooklyn. You don't happen to be in the Brighton Beach section, do you?
Brighton Beach.
You are?
No.
Oh, okay, because if you were, Stephen Solars would be your congressman.
They wrote to sign the letter. This is God is so strong on Israel, and he seems to, and when it comes to what goes on in Central America, he's no evil, he's no evil.
Well, he went to Pyongyang, and he had very little to say about what he found in Pyongyang, which is surprising.
These liberals and leftists, well, I voted with some of them. When it comes to these things, they see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
All right, Kenny, I thank you very much for your call. Let's take another call, and this one also on the New York line for Neil Romano. Hello?
Hello, this is Phyllis from Manhattan. Mr. Romano, I read that letter in one of the New York papers, and I was so angry that I wrote to the 3 representatives who were listed in that article. And it was Mr. Solars, Mr. Wright, and a Mr. Bond.
Yes.
And actually, I was so angry that I wrote to them, and I actually told them that if they had any respect for their constituents, they should print that letter in their, monthly or semi-monthly, whatever, newsletter to their constituents. And that they should tell them that they did it secretly, and that's what they did. I haven't heard from either 3. But
That's a very good point. It's interesting that this had to be exposed on the floor of the House of Representatives. The congressman I'm concerned with, Bob Torricelli, has a tendency to get just about everything he wants and get a great deal of press. But this apparently is something that he didn't really want the people to know about. He is one of the greatest abusers of the franking privilege, probably in the state of New Jersey. And he certainly had plenty of time to put it in one of his monthly newsletters to the people. But obviously, he didn't think it was a letter that they would approve either. So he kind of held back on it. I was just as outraged to find out about it through having to read through a third source than not finding out from my congressman. I'm glad you wrote those, your members of Congress, and if you want later, we'll give you the other 7, and you can write them too.
That's what I was going to ask you. How could I find out and get the other names of those other 7
Well, okay, you can have the other names. I don't know how quick you can write this down. I don't want to take up too much time.
Yeah, fast. I'm fast writer.
All right. Okay, here are the other 7.
All right.
Bill Alexander.
Alexander. Okay.
Matthew F. McHugh.
McHugh. C-U-E? M-C-C-U-E?
McHugh.
H-U-G-H. How does he spell it?
Capital M-C, capital H-U-G-H.
Oh, that's Hugh. Okay.
Okay. Robert G. Torricelli.
I got him.
You got him? Well, because
So
you didn't write to him, did you?
No, not yet.
Okay, you got his name. All right. Edward P. Bolland.
Boland?
Yeah, B-O-L-A-N-D.
Oh, Boland. Okay.
David R. Obey. Or O-B. O-B-E-Y.
Obey. Real Obey. All right.
Robert Garcia. He represents the district in the South Bronx.
Right.
Robert Garcia.
Right.
And Lee Hamilton.
Hamilton.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, because really I think these birds should let their constituents know.
Absolutely.
There's a revolution taking place in commercial door lock security. The Abloy disc lock cylinder. The only door lock.
8555 is a private agency specializing in carefully screened professional home health aides and companions. Their staff services a range of needs, from intensive home medical nursing to homemakers to aides for the aged and infirm. Community home care at 212-435-8555 will become an extended, concerned, and caring member of your family. They're available on all 5 boroughs and Long Island, either part-time, full-time, or on a sleep-in basis. In the privacy of your home or at a hospital or nursing home, if you need reasonable, experienced, and compassionate care, call right now for home care coordinators at 212-435-8555. This message will be repeated within the hour. It's 12 minutes before 5 o'clock. 2 ladies are going to join us, 2 women are going to join us to answer the question, what do women want? Sigmund Freud raised that question. About 70 years ago. It was 1908, as a matter of fact, treating Mrs. Bauer in Vienna. He said, she has been coming to my office now for 2 years. I still don't know what she wants. Well, she wanted her skirt pressed. She thought that Sigmund Freud was a cleaner. She didn't know he was a psychiatrist. But forget about Sigmund. You know who first asked the question, what do women want? Adam. And he gave Eve what she wanted, and that's why he got kicked out of Eden. Now, okay. Let's get back to Neil Romano on WMCA. After this lady tells you why, well, you listen.
From highbrow to down-home cuisine, Patricia McCann brings you the world of food and wine in a 60-second report. It's the Patricia McCann McMinute, weekday mornings at 11:30, right here on WMCA.
You're at WMCA. Neil Romano is here, and you are there on the New Jersey line. Hello.
Okay, Bob, this is Steve from New Milford.
Yes, Steve.
Okay, I have a question for your guest. Since I'm from New Milford, and that's the hometown of Mr. Torricelli, which I'm not too happy about him. This district tends to be moderate to liberal in its voting, at least as I've seen it. Yet Mr. Romano tends to be, at least from what he's saying, it seems almost conservative. Do you think that that's going to affect him, or does he think that that'll, hurt him in any way?
Well, quite honestly, the district, I have 33 towns in Bergen and 3 towns in Hudson. And 4 years ago, during the presidential election, 33 of those 36 towns voted overwhelmingly for Ronald Reagan. So I don't know that can actually be considered a moderate to liberal. It actually tends to be a little bit more conservative than most people think. And it's always voted for Republicans for the United States presidency, and in most times for the Congress. As a matter of fact, the present district as it sits has a very, very definite conservative lean to it, moderate to conservative lean.
I don't know whether it would be fair to characterize the writing of a Commandante letter, Dear Commandante letter, if it would be fair to characterize it as the work of liberals, because It is so outrageously, at best, naive, so ludicrous, so self-defeating for the United States that even though I myself, though, consider myself a political liberal, I would want to insult all the liberals by characterizing this obscenity as a liberal letter. You understand what I mean? Out there in Milford, do you understand?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I hope you're right.
Well, I think that and as far as labels are concerned, the issues speak for themselves. And if both of these candidates take the issues to the people, people aren't going to be hung up on labels. I certainly would hate to think any election, congressional, presidential, gubernatorial, would be based on labels, but rather on issues. And I think the issue is very clear here.
Well, again, I hope you're right. The candidates, well, Hollenbeck was the Republican congressional candidate before that, and then with
Yeah, but look at it. If Mr. Helstowski didn't get himself into trouble, would Mr. Torricelli be in the United States Congress? Good question, right? Fair question?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
On WMCA, we'll take another call for Neil Romano. Hello.
Hello, Bob.
Yes.
I want to tell you, I regard you as one of the great champions against injustice and wrongdoing.
Well, thank you very much.
I know, I like your fervor and I like your spirit. What happens is that many times you get people who see injustice and they're just so bland and indifferent to it that they don't care one way or another. They say, so what? Now, I want to speak to you about your impression of the Olympics. You said that the Olympics were...
Look, I don't mind talking about the Olympics, but maybe Mr. Romano
All right.
would like to respond to that. How about that? The man's asking about the Olympics.
I'll tell you, being an old track athlete out of Dwight Morrow High School in Englewood, New Jersey, I'm particularly close to something like that. I feel for the athletes. It's obviously a political move. There's no other reason for it. These cartoon gestures that the security in the United States is not going to be good enough for the athletes it's obviously an attempt to just trash the United States and make the American president look bad at a time when the elections are coming closer and closer. I'm sure the security is there. I'm sure nothing's going to happen, and I certainly hope that they have time to reconsider, and they do reconsider, and come to the Olympics, because I'd like to see them have the opportunity to participate.
Well, they won't come to the Olympics for no other reason other than they are afraid to send about 1,000 people over here who will see the wonders of the United States and then go back to the Soviet Union and make the comparison. That's number one. Another reason they won't come to the Olympics is they are very vindictive in their small minds. And because Jimmy Carter pulled us out of the Olympics in 1980, this is a retaliation. So I think the Olympics are big bore anyway, as you may have heard me say at the outset. So this just proves the point.
Hello?
Yes.
Can I get in a word?
Well, it's your call, sir.
Listen, I have a message for you.
It's your $200.
I have a message for you. You see, the Russians are not merely complaining about the security. They're complaining about the invective and the demonstrations that will occur in Los Angeles.
Well, all right. You may be right. Thank you very much. Your local Monroe dealer announces a steal of a deal. Buy one Monroe-matic, America's #1 shock absorber for cars, and get the second one for half price. Or get the same great deal on Monroe Magnum 60, the big gun in van pickup and four-wheel drive shocks. Buy one, get the second for half price. But hurry, this Monroe double steel is good only while supplies last. Available at your local dealer, Auto Parts Place, 32-98 Steinway Street in Astoria, New York. And don't forget, at Astro Datsun, they know you deserve the best service possible. With Astro Datsun's fully equipped parts and service department, including factory-trained technicians, service does not end with a sale. But how else would one of the metropolitan area's largest Datsun dealers and a winner of the Dealer Award of Merit think? Now, Astro Datsun is proud to present two awesome cars for 1984, the sporty Nissan 200 and the new sleek 300ZX, cars that deliver mileage with style, efficiency, and excitement. So visit Astro Datsun at 164-24 Northern Boulevard in Flushing, Queens, 3 miles west of the Cross Island Parkway, and learn about their leasing and used car departments. Call Astro Datsun, 359-7202, 212-359-7202. At Astro Datsun, they are driven. When the feelings are that strong, shouldn't the expression of love be just as meaningful? A beautiful personal way to show her how much you care on Mother's Day is with individually designed jewelry by Laura Little Jewelers, 107-34 Continental Avenue in Forest Hills. More than words can say, Laura Little's specially designed jewelry shows how unique your mother is to you. Warm her heart with a perfect one-of-a-kind gift from Laura Little's beautiful selection of handcrafted jewelry and fine watches. Laura Little is open late for your convenience with free customer parking and all major credit cards accepted. This Mother's Day, when it takes more than words to show how much you care, Laura Little makes the giving easy. Laura Little Jewelers, 107-34 Continental Avenue in Forest Hills. Call 261-8461. Neil Romano, I thank you for spending this hour with us.
Thank you very much.
And don't forget, what do women want? Well, maybe we'll find out from two women who are going to tell us a little later. Right now, it's 4:57 on WMCA, and Burt Knapp has news of the MTA meeting on the troubled Grumman flexible buses. I should think so. I'm Bob Grant, the top of the hour to you.
An important meeting of the Metropolitan Transportation Authority Board of Directors tonight. They're to huddle to discuss what to do about the troubled Grumman flexible buses that have been taken off the streets. WMCA's Dan Meenan with the story. Danny?
We hear that the MTA has decided to go ahead and sue the Grumman Corporation for the $92 million it pays for what it considers defective buses. What's more, it will sue for additional millions because of the aggravation that the flexibles cause the city. The MTA said it had tried to reach an out-of-court settlement with Grumman, but the corporation dragged its feet. Now the MTA, wants to pay back the federal government the $74 million that it contributed to the flexible price tag. And also, the MTA wants to send a signal to other providers not to give the MTA defective goods. Bert?
Thank you, Danny. This portion of the news is being brought to you by American Airlines, doing what we do best.
I want to swim the Caribbean,
lie on its sunny shores.
I want to sail its blue-green sea,
do what I've never done before.
Now you can get carried away to American Airlines Caribbean for only $299, including both hotel and airfare. And you can choose from 13 sun-drenched Caribbean islands, including the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Puerto Rico, Antigua, Curacao, and Aruba. $299. That's all it takes to get carried away to American's Caribbean. For more information and reservations about our $299 Caribbean vacation, call your travel agent or American today. Certain restrictions apply.
Governor Mario Cuomo's proposal to allow the sale of New York State wines only in the state's grocery stores may not be approved by the Albany legislature this year, but it may adopt a portion of the governor's plan. Cuomo told a news conference today that he has asked the legislative leaders to take a particular look at the wine cooler part of the bill, allowing the groceries to sell wine coolers made with New York wines. A man facing trial for attempted murder smuggled a razor blade into a Bronx courtroom today and slashed his wrist before the bench in an apparent suicide attempt. Thomas Duras, a spokesman for the Supreme Court Officers Association, identified the defendant as 30-year-old Jose Gonzalez. Gonzalez was in pretrial hearings on charges of attempted murder and robbery before State Supreme Court Justice Solomon Katz when the incident happened. He was treated for a 3-inch cut at Lincoln Hospital. Snow in May here in the east, May 9th, and reports of light snow falling in Chautauqua County in upstate New York. Weatherman says little, if any, accumulation expected, however. Up next, national and world news from the Associated Press. Here's David Melendi on WMCA, Strauss Communications, New York, New York. Good Guy Radio at 5 o'clock.
AP Network News. I'm David Melendi. The Soviet Union has cheated young people. That's the way President Reagan sees the Soviets' decision to boycott the Summer Olympics in Los Angeles this year. In his first public response to that decision, Reagan today said it's unfair to the young people that have been waiting for so long to participate in those games. And he added,
It ought to be remembered by all of us that the games more than 2,000 years ago started as a means of bringing peace between the Greek city-states.